Hey everybody, it's Vuk from Dnevnik Vina, Wine Diary if you don't speak Serbian, and this is the episode number 1 of the wine sessions. I'm absolutely delighted to get this podcast going. It's been percolating in my brain for quite a long time, so I think it's going to be amazing. Our first guest is someone whose Instagram I absolutely love. I've been closely following it for I would say 5 months. And I really do admire her wine passion, and I'm super excited to have Vicky Barcelona as my first guest today. So let's start with an easy one. Who is Vicky Barcelona? What's your origin story, and how did you get involved with wine?
So Vicky Wine Barcelona was born last year, well actually 1.5 years ago. I was doing my master's in communication, and I have had this idea of doing a blog in my mind, and I was considering different topics, and then a friend of mine told me, why not wine? You worked in several wine companies before, you really like it, and you can really try to highlight the wines from your region, which are maybe not as famous as Riojas or something like that. And that's how it started. I tried to do a blog on WordPress and then Instagram, and it has been amazing since then. And as to the question, how did it start with wine in particular? Well, I always liked to look at the bottles, at the wine bottles, because obviously every label is different and cool. And it was like when you're in a shop and you're bored, when you're a kid, for example, you're bored, you don't want to look at the rest of the stuff, but then you go to the wine section, it's all like nice pictures, So I think it was kind of beginning, and then, well, since I live here in the wine region, it's difficult to ignore that. I by accident found a summer job in a big cava company, and I think it was the combination of wine and people working in it which actually, let's say, were the start in it.
Yeah, so just to put some context, Instagram handle, correct me if I'm wrong, is Vicky Wine Barcelona, right?
Exactly, Vicky Wine Barcelona, yeah.
So yeah, you're on Instagram, you have a blog. Any other social media or infrastructure online that we can find you?
Not really. I tried with Twitter and I'm still on there, but I'm too lazy for Twitter. I think Instagram is my most active channel. So yeah.
Cool. And you said about every bottle is different. I know you have a bottle next to you. What are you drinking right now?
Yeah. So right now I'm drinking not a Spanish wine, probably I'm a bad Spanish wine blogger, but last week I came back from Germany, from Provine, and in the airport I found this very nice bottle of, I don't know if you can see it, of German Riesling. It's pretty young, 2016, but I think that the brand, I have heard about the brand before. I really like the label, that's the thing. It's very kind of elegant, but minimal, very nice, not too old school, let's say. And to be honest, it's really, really nice. Even though it's a young Riesling, it has a very nice structure and it's already complex. So
Yeah, actually, I've also been to Germany recently. I've been to Berlin. I got back 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago. And yeah, I didn't try that one. That label looks really both clean and mysterious. That pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very nice combination. It's called Weingut Reichsrat von Buhl. A bit long.
You speak German?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool.
It's easier for me to read it.
Yeah. I agree. It's when you finish the basic German, then it gets hell of a lot easier.
Yeah. Do you also speak it a bit, or?
Yeah, I can say pre-intermediate. Ein bisschen.
Okay, that's
wir können wir sagen.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can counter that with I decided to honor your Spain heritage and buy a Verdejo 2016. I don't know.
Protos. That's a very good brand, a very famous one.
Yeah, it kind of stood out, but it was all red wines in that Spanish shelf, and this is the only white. That's one I'm gonna drink.
Good.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
And as you know, so my friend and I are two rookie wine enthusiasts who recently started to flirt with Spanish wines, and obviously wine in Spain is big, and for us who also live in Serbia, and for everybody who's making their first steps into this region, can you break down for us what are some Spanish wine basics we should know? So we all know there's Rioja, there's Tempranillo, There's like a lot of stuff, but some basic, quick guide, like a dummy guide.
Wow, dummy guide for Spanish wine. Well, basically, in Spain, I think the two big things are, as you said, Tempranillo and Cava. Cava is more in Catalan region, but it's a Spanish sparkling wine, which is awesome, and it can be made not just in Catalonia, but all throughout Spain. But the main, let's say, production is concentrated in Catalonia. And yes, Spain is rather a red wine country, and that's why we have a lot of regional grape varieties from Spain. Besides from Tempranillo, there are some smaller, less known varieties, let's say, but I think Tempranillo is the biggest one. You have Ribera del Duero, you have La Rioja, which are huge. And besides from that, your choice, Verdejo, is also a very popular grape from here. And we also have a lot of Grenache, some international variety. Well, Grenache is an international variety, but we have also quite a lot of Chardonnay, some Sauvignon Blanc and stuff like that. But I think Tempranillo is the main grape for sure.
Yeah, the most famous one for us. I mean, from where we are standing from Serbia, like when you go into a wine shop here, either it's a clear Tempranillo or it's a mixture, or maybe you can find some white wines and Rioja. I've never looked each bottle closely, but Tempranillo and Rioja are like the most represented wines here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, even here in Spain is the same. So.
Is there like a particular reason why you guys are into red wines that much?
I think because our grapes are mainly red, it's like our wine regions, since I don't know, forever we have been making red wine. That's why, it's very difficult. If you have been doing something your whole life, it's difficult to do something else, to start playing with, other varieties, even though we have a lot of white varieties, but it's just like that. We have mainly concentrated our efforts on red varieties, and that's somehow historical. But yeah, for example, Verdejo is a very good example because it's big, and it's bigger every time. And also in Catalonia, we have a lot of really nice autochthon indigenous grape varieties, white varieties, so that's really nice, the ones we use for Cava. And yeah, I think it's mainly that's it. Now in Rioja, we also are starting to have some new varieties, such as, for example, Tempranillo Blanco, white Tempranillo. It also exists, and it's also pretty interesting.
I gotta try that one, okay.
Yeah, and this trend is gonna be bigger because, for example, in summer, we all know it's much nicer to drink a white wine rather than a red wine.
Yeah.
So it's the trend which is growing and growing.
That sounds really interesting. I knew that there's a white Tempranillo, but I never saw one. I gotta look for that for sure.
Very small percentage.
The white Tempranillo, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very small percentage of vineyards in Rioja, let's say. So
cool. I like limited editions. That can be.
Everyone likes them, I think. I like it too.
Yeah, you kind of appreciate them more because they're scarce.
Exactly.
Then, if I were to ask you, imagine you have a wine cellar. You just built it right now, and you need to put 5 to 10, you can pick the number, Spanish wines that are your Hall of Fame wines. What would they be?
Brands or regions?
Wines that you would drink without thinking.
But naming brands or naming just regions?
Brands.
Naming brands. Well, let's start with Cava. Usually we take Cava as an appetizer, right? Before the food. So I would definitely go for Recaredo. Recaredo is a small winery which only makes Cava, and their Cavas are really outstanding. Then there are some really nice Freixenet Cavas, ones which I totally adore, and I haven't found that exact product in any other brand, let's say. There is one grape which is also indigenous from Catalonia called Trepat, and it's a very pale rosé cava. I absolutely adore that. Then I would also put on the shelf some Taurus wines for sure. For example, one of my favorite ones is a Verdejo, a very new Verdejo, which is aged on its lees. So it's a very well-structured Verdejo, and it's a bit heavier. You know, it makes a huge difference with normal Verdejos. Then probably I would go for Celeste, which is a Tempranillo from Ribera del Duero. It's an absolute red wine. I think I actually recommended it to you.
I think so too. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
It's an amazing wine because everyone loves it. It's the universal Tempranillo, the universal Ribera del Duero. And probably as well some Chardonnay from Viñas del Vero. It's a region in northern Spain, close to mountains. So, you know, it's a very special region. Let's say it has a very different soil, and it's very nice for Chardonnay. Chardonnay has found its spot in Spain in there. And also probably some Priorat wines. For example, Álvaro Palacios. Camins del Priorat. Usually it's a young Priorat, but it's very nice, has a very nice structure. Some Perinet. I recently discovered this wine, but there is one wine, I think 1197 or something like that, which is truly amazing.
I don't know. It has a very nice body.
I think that's it for the moment because I can't come up with more ideas now.
Okay, I'm gonna that's like an excellent question for me to expand. So I'm thinking about a Spanish trip, maybe maybe next year. So if I were to come to Barcelona, what are some maybe cool wine places or like wine jams? We have in Serbia like a wine jam that's like an event for all wine enthusiasts. Then it's for like everybody. Sometimes it's only for young people, and the organization is a little bit different. So are there any things or places? It doesn't have to be wine only that a young wine enthusiast can check out. Like imagine my big Barca layover.
So, for example, one place I totally adore, it's an event which takes place here in Vilafranca. It's called Be Jazz. Be in Catalan means wine, and jazz is jazz. So Be Jazz, it's a combination of wine and jazz. And basically you have several jazz concerts going on at the same time in different parts of the city. So you can choose like what concert you want to go to, like on, just on the street, on the square, right there. And also you have different wine stands around the town, and you basically have a wine glass with you. You wear it with you all the time, and you choose like the stand you want, the brand you want, the kind of wine you want, and you go from one concert to another. It's a very chilled event, very, very nice, and I think it's really cool for young people because it kind of connects nightlife with wine consumption, and also the atmosphere is very unique, especially if you like jazz music. It's a super nice event in summer. It makes me always very happy. So I would strongly recommend this one. And obviously there are very nice bars in Barcelona for wine with music and everything. For example, one of the most iconic bars is Montvini. It's in the center, and they have a huge selection of wines from anywhere in the world.
Awesome.
It's also good because every weekend they change the menu, so you can have different wines, per glass every week. And also there is one in the old town called La Viña del Senyor, which is just in front of a really old Gothic cathedral, and it's really nice to have a glass of wine, in the night in Born, which is a super busy neighborhood with the church in front. It's really nice.
It sounds nice. It really does. And you gave me so if I were to go and order wines, I have your wine cellar to help me. But for a person who maybe doesn't know that much about Spanish wine, is it better to just talk with a sommelier or whoever is in the place and to focus on local? Or just ask, I'm about to try maybe Tempranillo, can you recommend something? Or is it better to go and pick wines before, on things like Vivino or...
No, I think it's actually better to talk to person in the shop, to a sommelier, something like that, because they always can give you very useful insight, right? For example, for me, if you are a young person who doesn't know that much about wine but wants to discover something, there are some places in Barcelona which would be perfect for it. For Spanish wine, just talking about Spanish wine, for example, there is one place called Amo Vino.
Okay.
Also in the center. Amo Vino means I love wine, and it's a very unique place because it's run by four young French people, and they only work with Catalan wines. Well,
nice.
not like from the whole Spain, only from Catalonia, but it's very nice because you can try almost any Catalan wine over there. And then there is a very good place called Divino, where they explain you everything perfectly. Like they can, really they match your taste with the wine, and it's really nice because they have a nice tasting area, let's say, and you can have different wines. They have a crazy choice from Spanish wines because they are also distributors, and a very nice place. Another one which has different wines but mainly Spanish, let's say, it's Vinoteca Torres. And it's also nice to have wines by glass, to try different wines, and it's in the center, so it's also a very nice area to sit on a terrace in summer on.
Cool. Amy, I really need to organize that trip because you remind me of a story. Why I'm asking about like talking to people and locally. I met a guy recently, like I would say a couple of days before I send you the message about this podcast, like, and we were talking. He works in a Spanish wine shop called Compañía de Vinos, and it's like close to my apartment. And I was like, okay, so can you like maybe get me into Spanish wines? It was the first Spanish wine I tried is the one he recommended, and then we tried some more. Amazing one night, but he talked like, I did a tour once in Spain, like a coast tour. It was like a mixture of tourism and like friends and all that kind of stuff. And whenever friends did a tour, like let's visit this cathedral, this museum, he was like running away and fast, really, really quickly entering the wine shops. Okay, I need to try something fast, so let's try something local. And he avoided any conversation, so he only asked like, give me what you locals drink here. And he said that he didn't like try a bad wine. He tried so cool wines and he couldn't buy them all.
That's true. That's true because the young locals, they know the best. And also, I think if you, for example, ask me for recommendation from where I live, I know many things from here, and also I want to give you something which you will really enjoy. So, we are very enthusiastic about recommending things you will like. So I think that's the key. Yeah. Yeah,
I had like a trouble in my brain. Like, do I go first to Italy, which I'm a big fan, and or Spain? Because Spain is something I'm like discovering now. And he said, and when I met him, and he said, and he taught me like about the journey, like coasts and sea and summer vibes are better in Spain than in Italy. Go to Spain in summer and go to Italy in spring. And I was like, damn, that actually sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think it's a really good plan.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like a must. It needs to happen because I never been to Spain, like I told you. And
what first wine, the Spanish wine you tried?
So
the one that guy recommended?
Yeah, this was the mindset that we did. So he said, I'm gonna give you 3 wines. One is extremely cheap wine, but it's not like a bad wine. It's good wine. Then it's a average wine. And then you're gonna try some wine I really like. And the first was called, I think, Baia Negra. And it's like a wine that's... they even changed the label for Serbian people. So I will send you the picture afterwards. It's like a black label exclusively for Serbian people. Because we tend to buy, at least like the majority here, entirely based on a label. So we don't do like reviews online, at least the way I see it. And he said like, this is a wine that you drink like a juice. So you need to set the expectations right. Then we tried Laia, which was like a smoky red wine, which was good. And then we moved to Albali from 2010. And that was also I really liked it. He said like the previous vintage or the vintage after sucked. And this one was amazing, and they sell it like crazy, obviously, here. It's like a I think it's actually like a Tempranillo, I would say. Yeah, it was like, I'll send you the
Could be.
picture. I'll send you the
Yeah.
picture. I bought one, and he like gave me the other one as a present. Really cool guy. If you ever come to Serbia, you definitely gotta meet that. He's like a Spanish dude here.
Compañía de Vinos, no? You said?
Yeah, Compañía de Vinos. They have Instagram. I'll send you that also.
I'll write it down and check it out later.
Yeah, trust me, like, these guys are really cool. So, okay, moving from Spain to like, I know obviously we have a Riesling next year, but what is your like current wine obsession in terms like what wine did blow your mind recently, like the last couple of days? Can you narrow it down to one?
Blew my mind recently. Wow, I think that's actually many wines. Well, let's say that yesterday, for example, I tried a cava from a region I have never tried before. It's still Catalonia, but it's closer to France, and it's called Aleia. Aleia, it's the appellation of origin. And that cava was really good because, to be honest, there are not that many cavas. They tend to make more wines than cavas, but when I tried that cava, I was like, wow, that's really good. I never expected it. But something mind-blowing, I think for me, it's recently the natural wines.
Okay.
The natural wines, precisely for me, they are like juice. You know, as this guy said to you, they are like juice, but with alcohol. It's really crazy, and I never believed in them. But then I went to a wine fair, and I tried some of them, and wow, it was amazing. It was truly, you know, like such a fruit concentration. It's very different from
about
normal
like
wine, let's say.
Talking about the ideal drink for parties and all the events for young people, like a juicy wine with alcohol.
Exactly.
Yeah, that can be
juice with alcohol.
Yeah, bestseller. Besides Spain, so you went to Germany. Like, are there any other like wine regions and countries that are close to your heart? And particularly, have you ever tried the Serbian wine before?
So about Serbian wine, I have never tried it, but I would be really interested in, since I have a very good friend of mine who's from Serbia, actually, and I'm always like telling her, you need to take me to your wine regions to visit it. And regarding your other question, I'm lately particularly into Georgian wines.
Okay.
It's a very, well, not that well-known region, right? But obviously their history is crazy because they started to make wine like thousands of years ago, before Romans including. So it was, the wines are really special to me also because all the grapes are local, you know, so it's a more mystery, let's say. It's something you can't imagine how it will be like, you know, what it will be like. You just drink it and then, wow, you're surprised. So I think, for me at the moment it's Georgia, definitely.
Cool. And if I have to ask you to pick red or white, what would you pick? Red Serbian wine or white wine?
Depending on the moment.
Let's say... Like, let's say in 15 days, I'm going to send you a Serbian wine. I'm going to try to send you a Serbian wine. Would you like for me to send you like a red or white?
Could it be a sparkling wine?
It could.
Then probably sparkling wine, because I would always go for sparkling wine. I really love sparkling. You can't do anything with that. Gets me crazy. But probably white.
Red or white? You got confused. Like that means that you love both, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love both, but you know, if I'm to choose, I would always rather go for sparkling wine, and then like let's see what happens. But for me, the first one is always sparkling. Gotcha.
Okay, cool. One of the goals of at least the project that Costa and I've been doing is like to get wine closer to the younger generations who seem to. I wouldn't say I don't want to like make anybody like wine because I say so, but I would like to show them that wine is actually cool because a year and a half ago I didn't know that as well, and then my girlfriend told me and I kind of like got interested, and it's like similar to a Snapchat story. Kind of friends shows you how it works and you get into it and it's cool. So what are your thoughts on young people and wine? Like in Serbia, it's really, really specific. There are no like quite recently I saw that in wine bars there's like a lot of young people, and that wasn't the case. And wine bars are opening all over the city. I don't know how the business is going, but I would say that it's something happening. So something is happening. What's your opinion like on young people and wine and youth culture overall?
Well, in Spain, I think it's a little bit difficult. Talking from my perspective, young people still would go for beer or something like that, even though it produces a lot of wine. It's a paradox somehow, but that's true. For example, in France, young people, I mean, in summer, everyone is drinking rosé, you know, when there is no such a question like, do you want a beer? No, they go for wine. And I think it's like snapshot story, the way you said it. You really need to try to discover it, you know, little by little, step by step, maybe reading, seeing beyond the label. So if you see the label, you like it, and try to discover a little bit more about that wine, because if you're gonna like it, you need to keep this information in your mind, and the next time you're buying wine, you already know what kind of, you know, wine you like, what is your taste profile, let's say. But I also think that it's very important that all the wine companies, wine bars, wine producers, it's their job as well to make it closer to people with packaging, with the kind of communication they do, etc.
Yeah, I did like that's like I think I don't have to say anything. You said everything, I think, as well. Like I took part in at like a wine. It's not exactly a conference, but let's say a wine talk, where a couple of winemakers and wine people and people from wine world sit down in an audience, and me and 4 other young dudes were talking about young people and wine, because we were going to wine jams frequently, and like they started asking us questions. And then I said I work in marketing, and one guy asked me, okay, so if I were to hire you as my marketing director, what would you do? And I said, like, listen, man, like, you gotta think about the person who's next to you. You can't think about the profit, at least not in the short term. So you can say, like, okay, you see this Vuk, he has Instagram, and he obviously goes to Berlin to visit his girl and drink some cool German wine. So why don't I, when they're in Serbia, invite them over at my shop and try to educate them in a cool way? So that's like a negative ROI. You can't earn money there. And he said, yeah, but I'm going to go out of business. You won't, because nobody ever called me to do that. And I'm going to be loyal to you if you show that to me in the right way.
Exactly. No, that's exactly how it is. In the end, if you like something, you are loyal to that, right? You still want to try new things, but for example, for me, the wines I liked since the very beginning, I stick to that brand, you know, and I keep spreading the word and I keep drinking them. So it's always really good.
Exactly. It's always the balance. Like, you always, I have this weird healthy obsession of always taking the different wine type. But if I'm like I don't know, going to I don't know, a family lunch or watch a game with my friend, there's a wine I don't like to focus on wine then. I like to focus on Inter and football, and I'm gonna pick the wine I like. And I can be loyal to you, and if I like the wine, excellent.
Exactly.
So it's like that's the way you hack it. You kind of like communicate, bring value, and not asking for anything in return, sort of like what Gary Vaynerchuk preaches. And then you really like, you hack it, and you buy that customer, you buy leverage.
Exactly. Yeah. You buy the loyalty at the end.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and in terms, like, another question when it comes to young folks, do you think that that snobby thing we touched? I never met a wine snob in person, to be honest. I saw them online.
That's good. You're lucky.
Yeah, I never met them. There are people who are like give an opinion in a strict way, but I never take defensive. I'm always like, cool. That's your 2 cents. That's totally fine. I'm never afraid to say, like, if 99 people hate the wine I'm drinking and I'm the only one who like it, I'm gonna scream out of happiness and say, okay, more for me. I'm not gonna be like offended or like say, oh, or change my opinion or something like that, you know. But one guy said to me once, like, you said there are 2 wine types that I really like: Tamjanica, which is a Serbian authentic white wine, and there's Traminac. which is kind of like similar to Riesling. I think more fruity for me, and I call them summer.
Did you say Gewürztraminer?
Traminats.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Germans have Tramina.
Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah. I think it's similar. But anyway, like a guy said to me, okay, so you call Tamjanica a summer wine, an excellent white summer fruity citrusy wine. But how will you drink it if we're on a beach? Like you need a wine glass. Like man, if I'm drinking the wine from a plastic cup, I don't care. It's not about the glass.
It's a wine.
It's a wine. It's still a wine. And if I tried it before and kind of like smelled it and everything, and I'm drinking it for the second, third, or 10th time, then I don't really care about the ritual. I'm only caring about tasting it and looking at sea and basically being a hedonist. So do you think that those kind of things, that wine is some fancy thing with glasses and people spitting in buckets, and do you think that that pushes people away? Because I never really saw that it does, and except in that particular conversation.
I think sometimes it does, because obviously, you know, someone who's not that familiar with wine, maybe when they are having a conversation with someone who is, and the other person is trying to bomb that person with wine terms, or, you know, like imagine you're opening a wine bottle and someone says, no, we are not doing it right, because obviously there is like one correct way to open wine bottle, you know, but for example, at home, I never do it, you know, I just open it, I don't know, I don't want to open it, I don't care if I do, you know, 2 scratches, if I do 1 scratch.
Yeah, I care about drinking it,
Yeah, but there are people, and I have experienced that, like telling you, no, you're not doing it right. And okay, in a work contest, I understand that I need to follow the protocol, let's say. But if I am at home, I don't really care, because in the end, it's wine, it's what's inside, you know, and the way I'm going to open the bottle doesn't change its taste. So, yeah, here I agree with you as well.
Exactly. I mean, I would say maybe people need a little bit of an ego, but not ego in a wrong way, but to say like, dude, I don't care. That's not the point. Or if you were to be, you can say, you can even curse and say like, fuck off and let me drink my wine.
Yeah, because at the end, the best wine is the wine you like. There is no best wine. It's the one you are going to like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there are no rules, and that's what's wonderful. Like each and every one of us, whenever we try a wine, it's a different description.
Yeah, exactly. It's very personal, and some friends of mine really like not just fruity but rather sweet wine, and I don't like sweet wine unless it's a dessert, you know, but I understand their tastes, and every time we go out, I always order them this wine because I know it's sweeter and they're gonna like it. But I take my personal style, you know. It's all about styles. It's like fashion. Everyone is unique in this sense, and you can't judge another person.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing that really blew my mind when I started drinking is like when I tried my first wine, I remember the feeling that was way. My mom who also likes wine, and I didn't like it. And I said, I don't like wine. I don't want to drink wine. And years later, I kind of like get into all this Dnevnik Vina story, and I started like tasting a little bit of white, a little bit of red, and trying to taste the same wine a couple of months later. And it's amazing how big that world is. Like, it's like learning a language. It never really ends, because every vintage is different, every winery is different, every country is different. I think you can never conquer the wine world.
Exactly, I think the same, and it's a pity, right? Because you really want to try everything and know as much as possible. But it's true, it's not possible. It's not an easy task. But I think it's good if you keep trying, and with every glass, even if it's a wine you have already tried, the second glass is going to be different. You know, there is always something else to wine. Wine is not just wine. There is always something new about it and something to be discovered. And as you said, it's a language. It's an incredible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm glad we agree. Final question. What can we expect from you in the future in terms like, where does your Wiki Barcelona wine project go? Or anything you want to share, ask me or the listeners, or I don't know, what's on your mind as the final thought of the #1 episode of Wine Sessions?
So for me, I would really like to, in the future, maybe start a podcast as well, but in the far future, let's say. And also, I would like to start doing more pairings on my channel. So not just wine, but also, a little bit of foodie thing, like pair wine and food. I have never done it. It's a whole different thing, but I would like to do it step by step. And a question, well, I would be curious to hear from the people, from young people, how do they want to see the wine presented? So what do they want to see when they see wine advert? What are they eager to discover when wine is communicated to them? Cool. What do they want to have at the end?
You mean like an online communication or communication overall, like everywhere?
Both online and offline. Like, you as a young drinker, how would you like to see your wine presented to you? How would this advert or how would this video look like, or how would this pickup line, let's say, look like?
So
like,
in essence, you want to know how can somebody deliver the message that some person's gonna listen to it and literally listen to it, not listen to it and don't listen.
Exactly. What kind of messages are young people looking for when it comes to wine? What attracts them, let's say?
Cool. I like that question. I'm gonna market that question. That's actually some amazing feedback you can get.
Can you be the first person to answer in it?
Yeah. I mean, I can try. So for me, it depends. Like, who's the audience? So if a winemaker, a local winemaker for Serbia, let's take an example, if it's all right with you, was to deliver a message to me and my friends, not me as a Dnevnik Vina guy, but as a guy who likes wine, I would prefer that message to be like, put it into the context. Like, many people, and I've done it myself and learned from those mistakes, like, they talk about themselves in their adverts. They talk about, listen, I'm a cool winemaker, my wine is the most organic wine, my wine is the most amazing one, and you're still talking about yourself and you're talking about me. But if you connect the dots and say, okay, I don't know, like, this guy is obviously into intergames, and if he wanna communicate one-on-one through Messenger or through a chat app or through some ads, I would say Facebook ad, but really, really narrowly targeted, he can target and say, okay, he likes marketing, he likes Inter, he likes Italian food, he likes pasta. Can I connect the wine and try to produce value in some way? Like, he can say, like, there's a cool Italian restaurant that my friend owns, and you can go try the most amazing pasta alla norma and try my white wine that goes perfectly into it, my treat. Or he can say, listen, I see that you are doing this co-host, this wine documentary. What do you think about me sending a couple of bottles for you to try? You can say whatever you want. Or if it's a classic marketing move, he can, I wouldn't say that the price would buy me. Any market that through price or through descriptions, maybe he can speak about his wine journey, but in a cool way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sort of like what you're doing. Like, I've been to X place and I've tried this wine. It's really amazing and connected to the whole context. Like, I've been with my family. Da, 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 da. That can be amazing also.
You talk as a true marketer.
Can I consider that as a compliment?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And did I answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, cool. Most certainly you did. Cool. True. I will have to think about it a little bit later. What can I do to make you like Mike Mason?
Yeah, I mean, tell a story. If you tell a story, story is everything. Like I'm gonna give you like a contrast. Like that's how I see. That's why I love my job. Like, if you have these exact same sneakers, the exact same. There's no difference. Like, the price is the same, everything's the same. Even if the price is a little bit different, but let's take as like it's the same. You won't go to a shop that you don't like personally. Like, if a shop is connected to you in some way, you like the story, you like the person who's on the adverts, you like something, but you really like it, like a good wine. you will always go there, even if the price is a little bit higher than the other shoe. And that's the thing, like that's what social media is. Like a lot of people just go and expect they're gonna earn huge money on Facebook. They won't. That's not the case. Like you need to build a brand story. Imagine if there's a cool. There's a single winery in Serbia that has an interesting story, at least that I know, for a young person. Not a one.
Yeah, that's something which still needs some work to be done.
Yeah.
Even here in Spain, it's the same. Very few wine brands start to appeal to young people, but it took them really a while to understand that it's a very powerful consumer, which is obviously, which they need to conquer it, because in a few years that will be the person which consumes wine constantly, right, when they reach a certain age. So
yeah, exactly. And you said it yourself, like Twitter and Instagram are not the same. Like there's one way to communicate on Twitter, there's a whole another way to communicate on Instagram, and it's like a science.
A little bit, yes, that's true.
You try it,
yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for doing this podcast with me. I'm really, really happy that we did this. I think there's some amazing stuff that we said, and particularly you with Spain. And I'm gonna do Spain first. Italy is gonna come second.
That's a nice one. That was my purpose. Make you come first to Spain and then to Italy.
So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Cool.
Thanks a lot.